Negan woke up to a day that felt anything but normal. The sun was shining, but the sky was a peculiar shade of purple. He rubbed his eyes and looked again. Yep, still purple. What in the world? He muttered. Negan quickly got dressed and headed to the club, where he met his friends, a talking squirrel named Squeaky and a robot named Bolt. The club was no ordinary place. It was a magical treehouse that floated in the air, tethered to the ground by a giant golden chain. Today, it seemed even more magical. As Negan, Squeaky, and Bolt entered, they noticed the furniture was floating. "Whoa!" exclaimed Squeaky. "This is new." Bolt's eyes blinked in different colors, indicating his surprise. "Let's explore," Negan suggested. They floated from room to room, discovering that everything had a mind of its own. The chairs danced, the tables sang, and the lamps told jokes. In the kitchen, the fridge was having a conversation with the microwave. "I keep things cool," said the fridge. "And I heat things up," replied the microwave. They both laughed. Negan opened the fridge to grab a snack, but the food started to talk too. "Hey, don't just grab me," said an apple. "Ask nicely." Negan chuckled and asked, "May I have you, Mr. Apple?" The apple agreed, and Negan took a bite. It tasted like a mix of all his favorite fruits. "This is amazing," he said with his mouth full. Squeaky and Bolt were equally amazed. They decided to check out the game room next. The video games were playing themselves, and the board games were setting up their own pieces. "This place is alive," Bolt exclaimed. Suddenly, the treehouse shook. "What's happening?" Squeaky squeaked. They rushed to the window and saw a giant beanstalk growing rapidly, lifting the treehouse even higher. "We have to stop it," Negan shouted. They ran to the control room, where a giant red button labeled "Emergency" was flashing. "Should we press it?" Bolt asked. "We don't have a choice," Negan replied. He slammed the button, and the treehouse started to descend slowly. The beanstalk stopped growing and began to shrink. "Phew, that was close," Squeaky said, wiping his tiny forehead. They all sighed in relief as the treehouse gently landed back on the ground. "What a day," Negan said, laughing. Just when they thought the adventure was over, a door they had never seen before appeared. "Should we?" Bolt asked. "Absolutely," Negan replied. They opened the door and stepped through. To their astonishment, they found themselves in a world made entirely of candy. "This just keeps getting better," Squeaky exclaimed. They spent the rest of the day exploring and tasting everything. As the sun set, they returned to the treehouse, exhausted but happy. "Today was the best day ever," Negan said. Squeaky and Bolt nodded in agreement. They couldn't wait for their next adventure.